Hey everyone, welcome to Data Millennials. I'm Atul, and in this video we are going to discuss about nested for loops in Python. A nested for loop is a loop inside a loop. In nested for loop there is an inner loop and an outer loop. So let's take an example to understand. So we have a for loop. Inside that for loop you will have another for loop. So this is basically a nested for loop. The inner loop, this will be the inner loop. The inner loop will be executed one time for each iteration of the outer loop. So the first loop with this would be the outer loop, and the second loop within the first for loop will be the inner loop. And this inner loop will get executed each time for the each iteration of this outer loop. So a loop contains within another loop is called as nested loop. These are used when an iterative process is required. These are generally used in multidimensional or hierarchical data statements including matrices, list, etc. It is important to understand that we can nest for loop to a great level, although nesting 4 to 5 levels often makes it difficult to read and understand the code. So it's always recommended to use the nested for loop when you have only 2 to 3 levels of nesting. So let's take a simple example of nested for loop to understand how it works. So we'll first write a program to print the number of stars. Okay, so during our basic programming, the most general question is that you have to print star on each line. So let's say if I want to print a star for 5 lines, then it has to be something like this, that you have star, then for each line you would have number of stars. Okay, so let's say like this, 2 stars, then you would have 3 star over here, and then you would have 4 stars. And if you want to put stars till 5 lines, then you would have like this 5 stars. So this is the star pattern which in the basic programming we use to print, right? So we'll be using the nested for loop to print the number of star. So the first thing that we want to do is that we want to ask the user to enter the number of lines in which they want the incremental stars. Okay, so I'm going to take a number variable in which I'm going to take the input from user saying that please enter the number of lines in which you want incremental stars. Okay, so the user will give the input and that number will get saved into this num variable. Okay, then the next thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to use a for loop saying that for I in range 1 comma num plus 1, and then within this for loop I'm going to put another for loop saying that for j in range 1 comma I plus 1, and then I'm going to print the star then end equal to empty space, and for this for loop I'm going to print a next line. So let's run this program first and then understand what this program is doing. Okay, so if I run this program, the first thing that Python will ask me is to give the number of lines in which I want the incremental star. So if I'm going to put 5 over here and press enter, you will see that you have 5 stars over here. So the first line has 1 star, second line has 2 star, third line has 3 stars, then the fourth line has 4 stars, and fifth line has 5 stars. Now if we talk about this program, that what is happening in this program, so in this program we wanted to print a star in number of lines, and the number of a star in a particular line depends on the value of this num. This means that the first line will have 1 star, second line will have second star, third line will have 3 stars, and it will go until the number which you have given. So the user is prompted to enter the number of lines which is stored in this num variable. The first of the for loop over here, the first of the for loop starts from 1 and will continue till the number which is 5. Since we have for loop inside this for loop inside this outer for loop, hence for each and every increment of this I, the other for loop will start, in which the counter j will have value from 1 till this I. Okay, this implies that when I is equal to 1, j will have value from 1 to 1. When I is equal to 2, then j will have value from 1 to 2. When I is equal to 3, then j will have value from 1 to 3. And if assume that I value is equal to 4, then j will have value from 1 to 4. Thus, when the user input the number of lines as 5, 5 lines are printed with different number of star. Now let's take another example, saying that we have two different lists and we want to check which are the common names between those two lists. In such a scenario, we can use this nested for loop. So let's make a list first. The list will be name list1 equal to, and let's put the names over here. The first name that I'm gonna put is my name, Atul, Anand. Then let's put Aradhana. Then let's put Sandeep. Okay. The second name list that I'm gonna make is second name list 2 equal to. In this list, I'll deliberately keep some common names and some new names over here. Okay. So let's put Atul, then Arpita, then Ankita, then Meshika, and let's put one more name over here, Shivank. Okay. Now, if I want to check whether a particular name is present in another list, so let's say if I want to check Atul is present in name list 2 or not. Similarly, Anand is present in name list 2 or not. Then in this scenario, we can use the nested for loop. So I'll simply write for names in name list 1. Then we're gonna put another for loop, which is inner for loop, saying that for names 2 in name. Then we are going to put a if statement saying that if names is equal to names 2, then we have to print that name, saying that this name is present in second name list. Okay, and now if I run this, okay, there is a error. I have to give double equal to over here, and then this. Let's run this again. Okay, I did another mistake, so I need to check this name 2 in this name list. So I need to put over here saying that name underscore list 2. Let's run it again. So Atul is present in second name list. Okay, instead of Atul there is no another name which is present in name list 2. So let's take Arpita and put it over here and again run this. So now you have Atul is present in second list, Arpita is present in second list. So how is this program working? So within this first loop, each name which is item in this list is taken out, and then for each name in this name list 2 is also taken out using this second for loop, which is inner loop, and then the first item is compared with the first item of the name 2. Similarly, first item compared with second item, the first item of name list 1 is compared with third item of the name list 2, and if the names are equal, then this print statement will work. So this is how you can use nested for loops in Python program. Happy learning and see you in the next video.